Hello everyone. My name is Blessing Ivie Ezekie. I'm based here in the United Kingdom. I'm a mom to two amazing kids. I'm a public health specialist. I'm a midwife by day. And we're here today on our platform, Sisters Narrative. Sisters Narrative is a platform for women by women. Are you a sister? Are you a mom? Are you a daughter? Are you someone's colleague? Are you a friend? Your neighbor? As long as you're a woman, come join the platform. So in this platform, we talk about any and everything that pertains to women. Your career, your health, raising family, you might be single, divorced, married, just everything that women go through that usually we don't find an outlet to talk about. We bring it on this platform and then we share it. Today, I have two amazing women with me, and I'm gonna give them a chance to introduce themselves. I have Deborah Okoy, and I have Precious Choma Jack. Over to you, ladies. Thank you.
I'm Deborah Okoy. I'm a mom. I'm a wife. I'm an early childhood educator. I nurture children into adolescence. I'm also the church administrator in my local assembly. I'm a publisher, and I'm glad to be here.
Thanks, Debbie.
Hello, everyone.
Precious.
Hello, everyone. My name is Precious Choma Jack. I'm a wife, a mom, a public health specialist, a teen coach, a mental health advocate, and a counselor and a talk therapist.
Wow, amazing, amazing. Thank you so much. So today we're on this platform, Sisters Narrative, and we're bringing a topic that is quite close to our hearts because it feels like a lot of the more developed aspects of the world have caught on with mental health. But still, there's a select few that is still dealing with accepting that mental health is a health issue. It could be a public health issue. It is a public health issue, but there's also a cultural and social side to it. And then we're here today to have a conversation around mental health. Thankfully, I have two amazing women who inspire people and also support people generally, including mental health. So I'm going to start with you, Precious. Can you define for us what you think the World Health Organization talks about mental health and what your personal perspective is? Thank you.
All right, thank you, Blessing. The World Health Organization defines mental health as a state of well-being in which an individual realizes their own abilities, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively, and is able to contribute to their community. Simply put, mental health, it's your ability to be open-minded, balanced, relaxed, happy, and successful. Thank you.
Thank you. And what is your personal understanding of it? You know, societally, culturally, what's your take apart from what WHO have proposed as a definition, Precious?
Simply put, someone that is not ill, someone whose health is positive, who looks at life positively, who concentrates on their well-being, and a happy person, just contributing to your community and you're balanced. Simply put, that's what we just look at it generally, that there is an absence of sickness. The person is not ill. So we can generally say that this person is mentally okay.
Right, okay, that's fine. Now, Debbie, over to you. You work with young people. You must encounter them in all various shapes and forms. You might encounter their parents in different light. Can you just throw more light on mental health, really, with the people you interact with on a daily basis?
Thank you very much. Mine, it's not professionally, but I'll talk my interaction and experiencing on relationships with parents and the children that are in my care. I'll say that mental health is stability. I'll say that because I've seen where parents that are not mentally stable coming in the morning and they're already smelling, reeking of marijuana. And I'm not the one to keep quiet because I'm a mandated reporter. I have to report what I see among parents. Yeah. But usually I like to talk to you first, like what's going on? And we hear them say, okay, it's medical marijuana. I have to take it to be okay, to be able to function. So I'll say it's not being under any influence of any drug and being able to still function and be stable in terms of dressing, something as simple as bringing your children in the proper clothes
Yeah,
depending on the season and the weather.
the weather. The
Not
weather, yes.
bring your child during the summer in a winter jacket. Something is definitely wrong. Or bringing
Yeah.
your child to school with open toe shoes when it is cold. So for me, it's being able to dress your child up in the morning, bring them to school in appropriate weather clothing.
Clothing.
Have an
Good, good.
interaction. My child is okay. I'll always ask, how was your child's night?
Yeah,
Because it starts from there. If you're able
yeah,
to coherently tell me what happened at home the previous night and in the morning, then for me, that it's not a professional, I'll say
yeah.
that that parent is practically stable. And I
All right.
work
So,
with
yeah.
children that are in foster homes.
Okay.
I work with children that are in foster homes, and I see that some of them, when they come in, they ask for hugs. Like in the morning, I'm talking about preteens, maybe 10, 11.
Right.
Oh, can I
Okay.
get a hug? Can I get a hug? And we
Oh,
not see that those children are dealing with issues
mm.
of rejection. While
Oh,
there are others that come in, hi, Miss Debbie, how are you? And so with those two, I know this child is home with parents, and the mental state of that child is okay. And I know that, okay,
right.
one is struggling with things. And even with the teachers, when they come in and they are prepared for work, then you know that
Yes.
having a good day. So thank you.
Oh, that's amazing. That's perfect. It's always good to assess because you never can tell who is struggling with something.
Yes.
That brings me to the public health side of things, Precious. So now we've defined mental health. Could you also just put together mental health and mental illness? Because I find that people seem to mix these all together. Public health has a definition of mental health. Now, when there's a deviation of that, then we are starting to think of mental illness. Can you give us your perspective? And then also the public health perspective of mental illness so that we can get the public to understand what it is and what it isn't. Precious, thank you.
Okay, so just like we talked about mental health, not just being the absence of mental illness, we know that there are different types of mental illness. And
Yes.
we're looking at it from very simple things as anxiety,
Yeah.
just depression, bipolar, schizophrenia, different mental illnesses, have different categories. But mental health encompasses the emotional, psychological, the social well-being. You're talking about somebody's social well-being. Here you're talking about how mental health affects how you think, how you act, how you influence, people around you, how you handle things, how you relate with others, the kind of choices you make, So we're
Okay.
looking at separating the illness from different things, just like Sister Debbie was talking about a parent bringing a child in the appropriate clothing, actually talks about really the mental health state of
Of
that
that
person,
individual,
individual.
yeah.
Sometimes, we had a case when, somebody walked into my office and then it was even a mental health doctor who was with me. We just had a meeting and she just said, this person is not okay. What happened? The
Okay.
woman she was playing with different colors and her hair wasn't properly aligned, her makeup, now for some other person, she might look good. But when you look at
Okay.
her, the way she was playing with her colors and everything, she just told me, this person is not okay. And I looked at
Okay.
her and I was like, okay,
Can I ask a question?
yeah.
A question regarding that. How are you able to assess without speaking to this person that something is wrong somewhere? Are you able to assess without actually
Yes.
having a conversation that something might be going on somewhere?
Yes, something, yes. Like I said, the way they handle stress. Maybe you're discussing with someone, you're talking about something, and the person is talking about something else, even if it's related, but she flares up and is easily irritated. That person has an
Right.
issue. Now, the way
Right.
they relate with others, you can only give what you have. So someone who
Yes.
doesn't have love cannot give love. Someone who is coming from a place of pain can only share pain. Someone who is
Pain.
coming from a
Yes.
place of goodness, and then the kind of choices they made, just like I was talking about somebody's choice of color, blending, and all of that, shows, and then the person's ability to
Okay.
pack, just the way you even pack your hair, the way you look at things, the way you relate. I was talking to someone and I was invited somewhere to speak on rape. So I
Wow.
was talking to a friend and I said, oh, I was invited to talk on rape. I would like you to tune in, just listen. Her friend who was standing close to her just attacked me. What do you know about rape? Who are you to talk about rape? I didn't know this woman from anywhere. She just
Oh
attacked
my
me. And
God.
I didn't get angry because I understood where she was coming from. She was coming from a place of pain because by the time I mentioned that rape, it triggered her trauma.
Triggered. It must have
It triggered
triggered
something in her.
something.
So she was like, who are
Okay.
you? She
I
started
get it.
talking. And I was like, hello. I didn't get
Okay.
angry. Her friend was worried. You don't know her. Why are you talking to her like that? I just told her to relax. And I said, are you okay? She said, yes, I'm okay. What do you think you want to go and talk about rape? And I was like, I just smiled. So later on that evening, my friend called me that the friend wanted to talk to me. What did she say? She said she was raped when she was a child. This lady is 35 years old. She's a young lady. And then she was telling me that she was raped when she was a teenager. That anytime she hears rape, but I knew she was coming from somewhere and I knew she was having an issue. Okay, so that person's mental state would always be triggered when she hears something. So your ability to relate a lot of things, your ability, the way you handle stress, everything relates to mental health. So you might see someone who is not ill, who might not be on medication, but the person cannot cope with life.
With life, right?
You
Okay.
understand?
I
So
get
you
what you
basically
mean.
might not be on medication. You might not be hyperactive. You might not be having any issue that needs medication, but you are having
Okay.
something that is not balanced wrong with you. Probably you're having a situation where you can't even explain. Some people can't even explain their inability to recognize that they can't use their skills, they can't use their potentials, they keep procrastinating. They don't know why they're just in one place. There's an issue, but they can't tell why.
They can't deal with it. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
We'll come right back to you because we want to know if there are tools for people to self-assess themselves and then if there's a self-referral process that you think people can come through. But I really want to talk to Debbie about our communities because she mentioned her own community. I want to talk about how other people can find this community. Where do you think we can easily find these communities where we can share our issues and be able to find support before it gets too late? Debbie, if you can share that with us.
Thank you very much. I think that trust is very important.
Yes.
And trust does not just happen. You build trust. So for me, I know it's not just about the church, but I'll talk about what I know, what I'm familiar with, and my workplace. I work with teachers where I'm the director, so I practically run the school for the owner. But
Okay.
I create an environment where we spend a lot of time at work. So I create an environment where people look forward to going to work. For me at work, we are all colleagues. We respect each other, and I'm open to any conversation. Right? So at times the teachers even come in or the parents come in, and all they want to do is talk. So
Talk.
to find that kind of community or environment, then it's okay to talk. Another place might be church.
Yeah.
One of the things about our church, our women's ministry, it's very interesting because when
Okay.
we get to talk, we talk when we go for our meetings. Like we bear our hearts at the meetings, and we've never heard anybody say, "Oh, they said this in that their meeting." They said
Okay.
at their meeting. So it trust is what makes people to be able to speak. But if you do not
Right.
have
Okay.
that kind of community, then it's better to seek.
Yeah, because they have to trust that whatever they're
Yes,
sharing with you,
yes, it's
they
very
wouldn't hear it from somewhere else.
yes, yes. So
Because that has also been one of the issues people have around. That has also
yeah,
been one of the issues why people don't speak out.
yes,
Because you
Yes.
can't trust, people. People don't just want to speak out because
Yes.
probably they've had one or two
yeah.
experiences and they just don't want to keep speaking out. Yeah.
Okay.
And I usually like to, one of the things for me, how I try to build trust, I I start with talking about myself to you. In
Okay.
the
All
10
right.
years, you will understand. And by the time I create that atmosphere and you're relaxed, you just see them talk. Uh,
Okay.
they just talk. I'm really
Open up.
been privileged to hear a lot of things. People just bare their souls to me. And thankfully, and yeah, it's God's grace. It doesn't even come to my mind to talk about it with somebody else.
Yes.
but some people do not have that environment. So I'm not a specialist, so I'll allow Precious talk about it. But I will say, please seek professional help. Speak out.
Help.
Do not keep quiet. Do not bottle it inside if you do not have
Yes.
an avenue to let it out.
Right. Okay.
You
Before
know,
I go to Precious, I wanted to find out, there's some people who feel like whether it's their pain or their gain, they feel like once they're not sharing it, they're in control. They feel like they have the power. A lot of people feel somewhat powerless when they have to give up control and say, I can't do it, I need help. Have you encountered where people struggle to let go of what they're going through simply because they feel like if I start sharing, that's when I'll actually break down and really know that I'm going through things? So first of all, sometimes, like you said, you internalize things.
Yeah.
And then I might be internalizing it and going through it. And then because it's still within me, people don't know. I feel, oh, people don't know. I can deal with it. I can cry, wake up. But then some people feel really out of control as soon as they share their struggles. Do you think that it's a factor with people sharing their struggles when they're dealing with mental health issues just because of control, because they feel powerless when they share their weakness?
Thank you.
Debbie?
I
Yes.
believe that at times in life we have to be vulnerable. We have to let our fears out. I used to be like that. I internalized a lot. I felt that
Right.
when I let it out, then you know what is going on with me. And that's
Yes.
why I'm able to break through people that do not talk as well. No, you are
Okay.
not losing control. You are rather taking control by being able to speak out without losing yourself. Because when you speak
Mm.
out and you're able to let it out, at times you might just be just venting. You just vent with the other
Yeah.
person not saying anything. And
Anything.
you
Yeah.
know better. It
Yeah.
does not take from you. It's rather strength for you to be able to be vulnerable and to be bare and speak out.
yeah,
Right. Okay. Right.
yeah,
So,
it takes a lot
Precious,
of
that
strength to do that, really. It
exactly,
takes a lot
that's
of
one
strength to
thing.
do that because
Yeah.
um, being vulnerable, it takes a knowledge to be vulnerable. It takes an understanding to be not vulnerable. You
Yeah,
know,
because also you need to be sure that it's the right environment.
it's the right place to be vulnerable, you know, and
Exactly.
then
Otherwise, they
Talk
can
depending on
use
about
where
it. They
you're
strength.
can be
coming
used
from,
against you. Yes.
That's why I talked
depending on your
about
background,
trust.
where you're coming from.
Trust.
If you're
That's
coming
why
from a background, you know, if you were raised, it
Yes.
just depends on the way you were raised, you know, the understanding you have, your community, your environment, your family. Now, if you're coming from a background where you were, for maybe for women, you were told that women are not supposed to speak here, women are not supposed to express themselves, women are not supposed to do that. Some people grow up to, you know, to be very, very reserved, to be very secretive.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I have some women walk in to see me, they'll just be like, they walk in to see me. They actually came in to see me, but they can't talk. And they are just
Wow.
sitting down and looking at you. And I'll just be looking at them and they're like, I was told I can trust you. And I'm just staring at them and I just give them a smile. And then they would just keep quiet and they would just be breathing in and out. They would sign, they would just relax. And then once they release it, they
What
would
do you
just
think is
drop.
happening around this time? Are they
They're
trying to
trying to
assess? Yes.
process, they're trying to
Yeah.
process their experiences. They're trying to see, okay, this is what I've been through. I'm here now. Can I trust this person? They're trying to say, how do I
Right.
break free
Okay.
from,
All right.
how do I let
Okay.
loose? How do I release my power? How do I become vulnerable? They're trying to do that. And so you just stare at them and you smile. And after a while, once they are able to process that thing, the next thing you just hear, they will talk and they will not want to stop. They will tell you everything from their childhood till that age. So I think the ability to, as like I would always say, you can never give what you don't have. So somebody who is coming from a background where I
Yes.
was told to shut up all my life, I was raped, and then
Yes.
if I speak out, I'll die. Somebody who was told that women don't talk in this place, women don't do things. Somebody who experienced a lot of trauma. Somebody who had a lot of. I was with a child who lost the mom and he went into all kinds of addiction. I sat in front of him and I was looking at
Wow.
him, and by the time he started talking, you just knew he was messed up. So before people become vulnerable, there has to be something that breaks free from
Really.
their mind. And that's their ability to accept that immediate situation, to lose their power. I agree with you that we come from a setting where some religious people would feel okay to talk in religious settings. We have some people
Yes.
who talk to their religious leaders, wherever they can just express themselves. Some people who are not religious, those who do not have people to, talk to, they go to other sources of expressing themselves. And here you find out that they join communities. If you're a single mother, you join a community of single mothers. If you're a widow, you join a community of widows. If you're a teen parent, you hang out with teen parents. If your children are toddlers, you hang out with toddler parents. And then so parenting here, you just see people attach themselves in different communities where they
Right.
can express
Okay.
themselves with people who are experiencing the same things with them. But sometimes it's not always the good decision because you might be in a place locked up with
Yes.
people who might, be in the same vulnerable state with you, express themselves, and they tell you the way
Okay.
they perceive life, which might not be the
Yes.
accurate measures to your own challenges.
For
So you see,
yours, that
mental health really,
exactly.
you need a balance, with it. Yes.
Right. That gives us a good perspective. I was just about to touch on health or help-seeking behaviors. So in a continuum of health, there is a help or health-seeking behavior. So first of all, you have to perceive that something isn't working for me and then make a decision to ask for help. Now, in some African cultural religious setting, do we think that we have made an environment really conducive for people to seek help? Apart from trust that we talked about, do you think that people can just walk in somewhere clinically and say, this is what is happening to me, I think I can't cope? Do we think that we have made that really open in like our developing countries where we are from?
No, I think we're still struggling with that aspect. Like I say, some parents who just come in with their teenagers, and you see the parents complaining. Why should this child be depressed? Why should this child be worried? Why should this child be unhappy when I pay all their bills? So they've not made it, comfortable for parents don't even see that their children have needs, that they are anxious, having anxiety, one thing or the other. A parent is worried. Why is my child not sleeping? Why are you not eating? The parent is angry. I'm providing the food and you're not eating. The parent is not asking, what is this child going through in school? What are the challenges? What is happening academically? So a parent is not looking at, the parent is just worried. I'm providing everything. Why are you unhappy? Why are you this? And so our setting, our African setting or developing countries, we do not, in all settings, we don't just have avenues, maybe health centers, clinics, where people can just walk in to say, I'm depressed, for instance, or I have a problem, where they can diagnose to say this or that. So especially when it is really bad, and they have to take the person to a psychiatric hospital. That's when a person is having epilepsy, having schizophrenia, bipolar, but there's a problem that is really strong that they are taking the person for help, and that might be to a psychiatric hospital. We don't have that setting. But I'm privileged to work in a setting where we are just integrating mental health into primary health care. We're integrating
Oh,
this care, and we're also looking at adolescent care, where people can, be able to assess, healthcare, assess help in any form. And that's what we're going into. So we're integrating all of this. But generally, looking at developing settings, we don't have that avenues, especially for adolescent health. We have young ladies growing up, having different forms of experiences, developing into adulthood, carrying the baggages of their teenagehood into adulthood. And that's why you have
right.
a lot of sisters unhappy, a lot of sisters going through a lot of mental health issues because of the baggage they have carried all through growing up. And so all of these
Right.
things don't just happen overnight. Something leads to something. Something would always lead to something. And so this is
Yes.
why, developing countries really need to, change and have a lot of reforms, health systems reforms that addresses issues. Because if we want people to be productive, we all have to have
Yes.
balanced mental health. Yeah.
Yes. That is so true. So especially when you mention young people and young ladies and then carrying things through life. I just want to bring this
Hey, Blessing,
within our families.
can I say something? I remember
Yes.
while I was in Nigeria, I was in the teens church. I had several cases where the mothers marry husbands with their daughters. And as much as the daughters tried to let the moms know that they are being abused and about to be molested by their stepdads of dads or fathers in their lives, and the women are in denial.
Wow.
I remember talking with a girl
Wow.
and said, my mom does not believe me that her husband touches me at night. And my heart broke, because there's no way that child's mental health will be normal. That child is
Yes.
messed up. And I've counseled a lot of other teenagers back home that tried to talk with their parents and they refused. And their moms, basically, usually the moms, either in denial or love their husband so much that they don't want to believe their children or their daughters, or that's how they want to deal with it. And another aspect I have seen in the US is young girls being suicidal because
Wow.
all and those young girls are tall and really pretty. They call me ugly. I don't feel like I'm beautiful enough. I don't think that I'm fine enough.
Right.
And you see them cutting their hands. One of the cases, one of my very close friends, her daughter wore a short sleeve and came out, and she's like, "What's that? What happened?" And she was now trying, to cover it. And her mom said, "What did you do?"
Yes.
She said,
Yes.
"So beautiful." But at that time, she had just lost her dad. Her dad had just passed.
Right.
So her dad had just passed. So that was her way
Of expressing.
So what do we say to a mom that a mom that has just lost her husband and her daughter is dealing with grief in a certain way, and she's
Yes, because
what do we say to
yeah.
like that?
You know, a lot of persons, are dealing with, like I said, they are dealing with life differently.
Yes.
You know, people have different situations. I see a lot on daily basis. You see a child who was raised by a father, her stepfather, and she doesn't want to, be walked down the aisle by her stepfather. And the whole family is just angry. Who are you? This man trained you. He took care of you. Why don't you want him? And nobody wants to listen to the girl because she's not even willing to talk. Because she simply believes that nobody will believe me. Nobody will accept what I want to say. But I know that there is a problem there. And I'm like, there's something you're not saying, right? Were you molested? Were you abused as a child? Is there something you feel pained to share with anybody? Let me tell you, some persons who were molested, who, by probably their benefactors or whatever, do not always share their trauma.
Exactly.
Some
Yes.
people die with their issues. And then another thing is mental health issue can be, like I said, people don't relate, just like the same question Blessing was asking, how you separate the illness and the other aspects of, the psychological aspect of it and the social well-being. A lot of people deal with life differently. You see a child, you see somebody who is going the wrong way, and instead of getting angry with that person, or you see an adult, a lady who is not okay with life, who makes the very wrong decisions. You see a sister who is 40, 45 years old, and she's still very much into something that is very negative. And people are like, you're crazy. You're not okay. She's dealing with something, or he's dealing with something, and her inability to talk about what she's dealing with is making her express herself that way. Now, when you hear a lot of people are being suicidal. Now, I reside in Nigeria, and it kind of baffles me how parents are not understanding why people are complaining. Why are we having more suicidal tendencies? It's very simple.
Right. Right. Can I come
agree
in
that
there? Can I quickly come in there, Precious? In Nigeria now, I have also heard issues regarding that. As we're just touching this point, can you also touch on what you think families can do to support these people? Because sometimes these people won't come for help. You see them behaving in a way that you think this is not right for this person's age or where they're supposed to be. Something isn't, put together. Do you think there is a way that the families can then choose to step in for them to actually be able to find out what is going on right now as it is going on there?
Yeah. Okay. So I was saying that when I was just trying to leverage on what Sister Debbie was talking about, when people are just being suicidal, the truth is they don't really want to die. They don't really want to die. They don't really want to commit suicide. The whole idea is because they are in a lot of pain, or they are in a state that they don't understand. They feel that the only escape route is death. And so they
Right.
feel comfortable, not because they want to die, but because they feel that that is the best solution to my problem. So sometimes you see, when people call me that they want to die, they don't really want to die. And if you tell them, are you sure you really want to die? They will have a rethink. But when you see somebody who already commits the suicide and drops a note, did not think about it twice. But those who have a rethink, who keep, because I keep getting, I want to die, I want to kill myself, I'm tired of this life. I keep getting all of those. And by the time I walk through all the experiences they've had with them, you just know that these people just feel that the escape route is death, but that is not what they want. So in the coping mechanism, I understand, like I always say that community here is very important. People need people. It's very difficult to do life alone. That's
Yeah.
why we need people that we can call our own. And if you want to be someone who is stable or healthy, you need to have at least 3 or 4 persons in your life that you can always run to, people that you can talk to. Doing life alone is difficult, especially
Yes.
in this time and in this season. So coping mechanism is for people to look out to help people, especially if as a female, as a male around you, when you have children, especially teenagers, when you see that somebody is eating too much, the person has become a glutton. Somebody is eating too much, more than the way they usually would eat. There's a problem. Somebody is not eating too much, more than the way they used to eat. Somebody who used to be very hyperactive is no longer hyperactive. You should be concerned.
Right.
Someone who is always
Okay.
attending parties and you don't see the person, maybe your friend, or the person is not happy, is not eager, probably you know the person's temperament and you know that
Yeah.
this person is not always quiet. What's going on? You should be concerned. And then a child or somebody who is sleeping too much. So I'm talking about for both males and females, here for
Yeah.
both young and old. Somebody who is sleeping too much, who usually would not take naps, but all of a sudden
Yeah.
the person is going to sleep, person is going to rest. Person say, don't worry, I'm okay, let me just lie down. Something you need to be concerned about, something. Now, somebody who would naturally not go out, but suddenly wants to start expressing herself differently. I
Hmm.
understand that temperaments evolve and people have different temperament depending on their surrounding. Situations can give you different temperaments. You know, different situations can make you express different temperaments, but there are some dominant ones. So when you see somebody who has a dominant temperament over the years and something is not okay, you should know that, this person is not this okay. So people should be concerned about, a colleague or a friend who would usually not express themselves, but they start expressing themselves differently. Something is wrong. So how do
Okay,
you
but
support them? Like we
yeah,
said,
yeah, yeah. I was just going
so
to touch on that. Yes.
okay, so you'll be able to look at that. You now understand that for teenagers, a lot of them, like I see them all the time. And you just have somebody say, I don't want to go back to school. I don't want to do this. A lot of things are happening that, the parents are just, probably very impatient with them to understand that these children really have a need. And so, especially when it comes to teenagers and the way they express themselves, I have teenagers and I
Okay.
know how sometimes they just get you worked up. Some parents, some mothers, some sisters, single mothers, even the ones that are married are having issues. They're having mental health issues because of their children. So you see
Wow.
your child is even not expressing the way they want to express. They are putting you through stress, disobedience, doing some things, you're already having issues. That's why you see a lot of sisters are taking antidepressants. Why? Because of what they found themselves. So what do you do in a situation? We need to start speaking up. We need to start giving people the opportunity to speak up. And then we
Speak up.
need to be
Okay.
trusted. We need to be able to keep people's secret, allow people to be able to open up. There are some persons that you can't even talk to them. You can't even talk to them because once you talk to them, you will hear it somewhere else. We need to start building a community where
Can I
we resonate with
also,
people, you know, have
yeah,
a
can I
situation where
also
you
just ask,
listen to
do you
people.
think,
Blessing.
yeah, yeah, do you think that it is a huge responsibility for you to take up someone else's um, problems just because you are in their lives? Because what if you don't understand the tools to support this person? And at the end of the day, thinking you're helping, you might tip the person to the other end and make the situation worse. Do you
No,
think
of
we should
course. Now we're
each
talking about,
try to assume that role, or we have to refer this person to someone who is more capable in
of
the
course.
community?
Now, helping people, coping mechanisms, you need everyone's hands to be involved.
Hmm.
You need family members to be involved to help people cope with life. Of course, people should seek professional help.
Okay.
But your ability to resonate with that person's problem, to identify, That's why we need people. You should be able to identify that your friend or your sister, your brother is not okay, to say, why don't you seek professional help?
Okay.
Tell them the little you can, but why don't you seek help? Because I might not be able to help you. Why don't you seek help? But we need to, in communities, we need to identify these issues. We need to be able to identify, because some persons don't know that they need help themselves. There are some persons who wake up and they say, oh, I've been unhappy for 2 weeks, going to 2 months now. This is not all right. I need to seek
Yes.
professional help. And they come to me.
Yes.
There are some people who come to me and they tell me, for 6 months, I have not been happy. I want to be happy. That is just their problem. So you see diverse kinds of problems. So you should be able to do that. Some people can identify their problems. They need self-help. They go for help. They seek professional help. But then as a community, when you see people in such situations, you refer them for professional help. Sometimes you even need to help them go to people who can help them, because sometimes you can't help them yourself. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll come to Debbie now. Have you been in a situation where a family member have had issues that you believe is going to cause them mental health stress? And do you feel like you had enough information to support, or do you just feel like I need to refer this person to someone who can help? So I'm asking Debbie now, if you've been in a personal situation where like a very close family member is going through something challenging that you think, no, I don't have, or I do, or I don't have the capacity to manage this. What in that situation, what have you done?
Thank you again. I'll answer this question.
Is Debbie still in the group? Okay.
I'll answer this question in two ways. Yes, I have been. There are times you recognize that this family member needs help and they will agree to your help. And there's another scenario where a family member needs help, but they do not agree that they need help and do not want to seek help. But yet, with your observation and trend, Precious was speaking and she said, someone that does XYZ suddenly begins to do ABC. And someone that was comfortable in doing ABC now is not interested in ABC anymore, wants IJK. So you see the trends and you know that, okay, this person might need help. And you try. And when the person says no, it is no. The only thing you can do is to just keep persuading. And I want to take it from, before I go back to this, when we're talking about the community. The said love is the universal language that everyone understands. If it's not medical, and it is just mental state that it's been a little bit disoriented, you can show love. Love is being there, being that extra help, being available. At times when people that need help, need family members, they are not available. So availability, it's very important for someone that needs help, because it makes that person now trust you and they can do what you want them to do. Then going back to your question, family member that needs help and you try. And at times in that trying, this is very personal for me now. In trying, the individual that needs the help is not receiving help. But you do not still let go. Especially if it's a family member that you care about. You begin to look for other avenues. It's not just a one-time strike. Okay, I spoke to her, I spoke to him, and he didn't want to, I give up. But being a family member, you begin to look for other avenues. You try to exhaust every avenue necessary. And when you keep at it, this is me now, when you keep at it, somehow you will find a way to reach that person and to be able to help them get the help that they need. And if it's a family member that you have some form of, you can have some form of rights to make some decisions for them, and you've spoken to them, you just go ahead and seek professional help for them.
Okay. Oh, that's so pertinent. Because as well, sometimes we're going through stuff and we can't see our way clear to making the right decision. Sometimes we're so distressed and we can't think clearly. So it's really, really good to have someone who can support us and sort of signpost us to points and areas where we can find this help. I want to just find out, like for me, I do this sometimes, but do we each have any way we can check in with ourselves regularly just to be sure if we're okay mentally? Because we do have responsibilities, especially as women. You are a mother, you have your career, you have your home to run. Things are going on in the background with your children, yet you still have to be a complete human being functioning completely. Do we each have a way where we check in with ourselves regularly to see, am I okay? Is this too much for me? Is that something I need to share? Is that someone I think I need to speak with? Do we have a pattern of checking? And is that a pattern we recommend to other sisters out there to constantly check and know that, I'm all right or I'm not all right?
Okay, I'll go first. I thought I'm Precious were going to speak. For me, because I have long hours that I work, my weekends are for me. I find solitude in my weekends. I I don't go out. I have a triangular life: work, church, home. Work, church, home. I That's me. Some people like to go out. I am an indoor person. I enjoy my solitude at home. I like to be home. But for me, um if I don't do it, my head does it for me because my head
Wow.
starts aching. So I
Okay.
know that okay, it's time to slow down. I sleep it off.
Okay.
I sleep it off. Most times when I sleep, right, real rest and sleep, and I meditate. I sleep or I meditate, I sleep, I read the word, I pray. That's my
Wow.
way of rejuvenating. And if there is a burden in my heart and anxiety sets in and fear sets in, I'm a little bit, what do I do? By the time I go to pray, I find peace. Well, I'm talking about prayer when you pray through, not 1 minute, oh God, I thank you, give it to me. I'm talking about spending quality time in studying the word. Let me do it sequentially. Studying the word, meditation. I meditate a lot, and then prayer. That's my way of shedding off the weight. After the prayer, and at times I add fasting to it, I feel better. That's how I rejuvenate.
That's a good way to do it because, especially if you find that it has worked well for you a couple of times,
Yes,
you tend to be able to rely on it as a therapy for you to deal with stress.
that's the word.
Precious,
That's therapy.
yeah, exactly.
That's therapy for me.
Precious, how do you
Yes.
get on with yours?
Okay, so basically, you need to check yourself. Like I do check myself most times. I look at situations. First of all, I will evaluate how things are going on with me because I know I work really hard. So when I know that I'm beginning to have difficulty concentrating, I start to check. They're like warning signs for me. When I'm not focusing, I just keep forgetting at intervals. There are some things that I'm avoiding to look at, avoiding to talk about. I listen to people a lot. So sometimes I have difficulty maybe eating or sleeping because of what somebody came to share with me. The pain and the discomfort is on me. Just like I said, we all process life differently. So
Yeah.
I'll be processing it maybe for a day. I might not eat well because of what somebody else is going through. So such things, I look at them and I try to like make sure it doesn't affect my mental health. And then when I'm having mood swings, so I check the potential warning signs around me, my personal life, everything around me. I check, things that are happening around me. Am I having mood swings? Am I easily irritated? Is there something I'm avoiding? Then I begin to now take, precautions. Of course, for some other persons, it could be really deep as going into self-harm and all that. But I know
Yes.
that when I see all these little things, of course, I'm not going to harm myself in any way. But when I look at these little signs, I now begin to check, okay, so why am I having these mood swings? Why am I having difficulty concentrating? What am I going to do? I now take extra measure for me, therapy, one of my therapy is music. I try to
Wow.
listen to Yes, I try to listen to good music. I just try to sing along. I love to worship. So I just play the music and it will just be feeding my soul, you know. So for people, they can process life differently. But I know that music therapy helps me a lot. And then I try to, I try to rest. I try to maybe take,
Mhm.
something really nice, give myself free time to rest and keep my phones, not take any counseling sessions, and just rest, take a break, try to rest. I don't sleep so much, but for that period, I try to just lie down and rest. And then I try to look at anything that can make my mood okay. I hardly watch films, but that period when I know that I'm really having ups and downs, I just take a break and I watch a film. So there are different things. I make myself happy, take myself out, get myself a gift, just appreciate
Oh,
myself and just try to do anything that will make me happy. That's why, I go through most
right.
of the things.
The films you watch, are they just to distract you, or is there specific genre that works for you?
I think they are just to distract me, honestly, because I'm just to distract me. But for me, music, that therapy works a lot for me. Yeah, but the
Yeah.
films are just a distraction, just to keep my mind thinking of something else instead of that thing that
Else.
takes my concentration. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you,
Right.
Blessing?
So I was gonna say mine. I would put on a Spotify collection of music that I have, and I will just start cleaning my house. I will get a mop bucket, bring everything down from the shelf, restock everything. My daughter, my 9-year-old, is quite active, and then as we clean up the house, it's a good use of her energy for me. We dance to this music, so you see us different stuff. I even record some of them sometimes. Like recently, I had the two of my kids were having health issues at the same time. It was so stressful for me, and I had an interview. I still have the interview, but I was supposed to be preparing for an interview for a more specialist role that I was going into. And I had set my calendar for the things I needed to do because the days I'm not working, my work is really long hours. The days I'm not working, I could put in the study. So by the days I'm working, if I miss studying for that interview, I wouldn't really feel bad. But then I had two children at the same time having health issues. I couldn't be with one of them. It was mentally stressing me out. And then I had to shelve everything else just so I don't burn out. And then just take it all in. Like, this is what I'm going through. How do I? And another thing for me, I reach out to a community of people who I love and I think they love me and they understand. And just basically saying, this is what I'm going through. And then a couple of hours chatting and all that were usually fine. I think I reached out to both of you to say, oh, this is what my son's going through. I just wanted to speak that morning. I'm not a usual speaking person, but yeah, so talking to people helps me. Dancing, turning my house upside down and taking the time to put it the right way up again also helped me. And I wanted to
Okay.
just say, we
Sorry, before
each
you go ahead,
have our own
Blessing.
battles. We fight
Hello,
things.
Blessing.
Hi,
Okay, so I just wanted to add that,
hi there.
for,
I didn't catch that.
okay, can you hear me?
I can hear
Yes,
you.
yes,
Okay, so I just wanted to add so that our viewers would understand that you need to be able to check your mental health. And
yes,
if you're unable to pick out some of these things, there are different tests you can actually do online. There's a basic
yes,
well-being test where you can test to check your mental health. Because just like we process life differently, there are persons who don't even know that they have mental health issues. So
yes.
you should be able to test it. There are some free apps online where you can, test your mental health to know exactly where you are at so that you can know how to help yourself. That's what I wanted to add.
Yeah, yeah, because like in the UK, we follow two toolkits. I think it's a GAD 7, a PHQ 9, where they ask you, have you been depressed within the last 7 days? Have you felt down and unable to cope within the last? Do you feel constant worry that you're not able to do your normal? They ask you things like that. Have you felt like harming yourself? Especially because I am in midwifery, we always find out from women their mental health at every point where we meet this woman, antenatal, every visit, when they come to deliver, whilst they're here, when they're going home, because we don't want someone to go home with a newborn baby and then the person is struggling mentally. They have put mechanisms in place to safeguard babies. So they have to check in with the parents. Sometimes people fall through the net, and you find people have harmed their babies because mentally they were unstable and it
That's
wasn't
for
picked up.
developing countries. You're in a
Yeah,
developed
yeah,
country.
yeah. So
Yourself and Debbie are both in developed countries. For
yeah,
developing countries, you need to also consider
yeah,
that. Yeah.
but that's the thing. We need to start replicating some of these things that are working for other communities so that we can implement them. So as long as a woman delivers in a hospital, they should be able to assess her mental health. Is this woman going to harm her child? Does she have a history of harming herself? Is there someone in the family, like a partner, who's domestically abusing her? And does it
But
make that home
uh,
unfavorable for that child?
can I say,
Social services also can come in at that point to
Yeah,
assess the
Debbie, go
home
ahead.
as well.
yeah, okay, well, that's in UK, in America,
Yeah, go
because
on.
there's no help. But back home,
Yeah.
when you give birth, no woman gives birth back home and stays by herself. Before that child comes, at least one family member would have
Yeah.
arranged to say, go take care of her. I remember even giving birth to my first son back at home, and my mom was ill. She couldn't come. My neighbors, the people that I didn't even know, came to the house. The elderly woman in the next flat said, that's 24 years ago. She said, I'm here to birth the baby. I looked at her. I don't even know you. She said, don't worry. You're a new mom. Just stay. We are here to help you. This one said, I'll bring you food tomorrow. So that's why I think that the mental health of a mom that just gave birth is really not an issue back home where you talk of the woman harming the child. Because by the time you're leaving, even your grandmother will come to your house to take care of
Yes,
your child. So you,
Postpartum
yes,
depression is on the rise back home now.
oh,
It's on the
postpartum
rise.
depression.
Postpartum depression.
Oh,
Yes.
wow.
A lot of women are not talking about their experiences. So it's actually, surprising. A lot of things are changing. So
Changing.
I think just like Blessing was talking about, the ability to streamline these things, we need
Yeah.
to keep talking. Like we said about the health system reform, we need to have these reforms that changes things for us. Because you will be surprised that when we started talking about postpartum depression, it was on the rise. When we did the statistics, we saw a lot of people having issues. You see, some mothers are not even happy to go back home. Just like Sister Blessing was talking about the situation back there. Who in Nigeria would ask you after you've had a baby if you are happy to go back home, if there is domestic violence in the home you're taking your
Nobody's
child
asking
to?
you that.
Nobody's going to ask you that.
No.
Some persons are in homes where their mothers and sisters are not even allowed to visit them, not to talk about helping them when they have babies. So times
yes,
have changed, really. Yeah.
yes.
So, yeah, we need to look at these
Because
things
you're in an
differently. And
abusive
then,
environment.
yes,
Yes,
some persons have different
yes,
understanding about all of these things. I think basically,
yes,
because we're talking about both male and female, we're looking at a whole lot of things. People need to really be able to know that mental health is key to your productivity. You
yes,
cannot you cannot be productive if you don't have a balanced mental health. And like
yes.
we say,
That's
it's
so
not just
true.
about not being ill. You could have malaria, you could be on medication, maybe you're a diabetic patient or hypertensive. There are
Yes,
different illnesses. It could be that. But your mental health state is completely different from whether you're ill or not. People need to be able to understand all
yes,
of this and be able to ask themselves, how can I help myself? Because if you're able to identify your mental health, you can help someone else. Okay, so people need to be able to seek help when it's needed. People need to be vulnerable. People need to be able to adapt to change, and our ability to be to
yeah,
understand that this stigma, we need to outgrow the stigma. We need to allow people to express themselves. Back home, you're in an enlightened environment where people have all of these things as normal. It's
Yeah.
a norm there. Back home here, you see people say, so this person is mad, this person is
yes,
mental. So when you even talk about mental health, that stigma is still here in developing countries where people haven't accepted that somebody comes into the hospital, tattered and all that, and everybody is running. We had a situation where somebody came to seek help and people were running who were supposed to give the person help. So we haven't come to that understanding where people should be able to seek help when needed. And then our ability to understand how to take in these people into the community. We need to outgrow stigma. So there's a whole lot with mental health. We can never stop talking about mental health because we'll keep evolving. But the truth is we need to be able to assess our own need, assess our own situation. Because when you know what triggers you, when you know where you have issues, you can, of course, render help to someone. You can also notice help to see when there are lapses, to be able to say, seek help here, seek help there. I think that's what we really need to know as individuals, because mental health is not a sex issue. Both male and females have the same issue.
That
Okay,
is so
so
true. That is so apt. I love how you've described that, because if we don't start doing something, we can be the same way 10 years and we'll just lose our productive society, because the people who are supposed to actually become productive are dealing with things and then they can't cope. They can't actually be productive in society if they're dealing with this. I don't know if we have any last words that we want to say before we wrap up. Definitely mental health discussion will come up again in Sisters Narrative, because we
yeah.
cannot exhaust it enough. We expect that after this conversation, we can listen to our community, our audience, whatever they want us to talk about. We will bring it back again regarding mental health and other related aspects, and the conversation will keep going. However, we can offer support, we will. But if we have any last words for our viewing audience, please, it will be so amazing to support them with your comments.
Thank you. It's been very enlightening and educational. So I've actually learned from both of you. And my final words will be, Debbie, be the change. Debbie, be the one that will assess yourself and look out for someone and try to speak against stereotype. Let everybody know that it can be anyone. So
Yeah.
check yourself and let's fight to take away the stereotypes. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you
Yeah.
so much
Then
for
from
that.
me,
Thank you so much.
yeah. So from my end, I will just talk about self-reflection. It's important that we reflect our daily life. We reflect on things around us and be able to journal it, write it down to assess yourself, and then be able to track the changes that are happening around you. Evaluate what is happening around you too and your loved ones. Most importantly, pay attention to some changes and physical symptoms that you're having as an individual. And last but not the least, seek professional help. Consult your doctor, see a mental health professional, seek support. Don't do life alone. It is very risky to do life alone. Thank you so much.
Oh, that's so amazing. I will come and do life with you. That would be so amazing. So I would say that we each fight our own battle. But mental health is like a community issue. We need collective healing and support. I would encourage us, if you're listening, to normalize checking in on one another. It doesn't have to be long conversations, just, oh, girl, what's up? You know, there's a way the person used to respond to you. When they don't respond that way, you should be a bit concerned. Like, oh, how far? You know, the usual way of checking with yourself. And then the response will prompt you to know if it's WhatsApp, text messages. You don't have to be in the same physical space to check up on someone. Let's have honest conversations, and then let's hold a space for someone who is struggling. From all of us at Sisters Narrative, thank you for taking the time to listen to us today. We encourage you to let us be the community that you want if you don't have a community around you. Talk to us in the chat, reach out to us in all of our social media handles. We can have conversations with you, and then we'll be able to support you or signpost you to areas where you can find appropriate support. Thank you again for the time spent listening with us, and we hope that we have supported your mental health with some knowledge and some information today. Have a lovely day today. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.